Can a single prayer summon a storm? One night, beneath the clear evening sky, Saint Scholastica lifted her heart to God, and in an instant, thunder roared, rain poured, and a fierce storm erupted. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't chance. It was the power of a soul, so deeply united with God, that even nature bent to her prayer. This is the story of a woman whose love for God revealed that true strength lies in the boundless graces of prayer and faith. In the hills of Umbria, Italy, a pair of twins was born around the year 480, two souls destined to shape the course of monastic life. Saint Scholastica and her brother Saint Benedict entered the world not only as siblings, but as two flames of divine purpose. Their fates intertwined from the very moment they took their first breaths. From childhood, their paths were marked by faith. Raised in a noble Christian family, their education was steeped in scripture, theology, and the virtues of a life devoted to God. While other children ran through the fields, playing games and laughing in carefree abandon, young Scholastica was different. She found solace not in earthly distractions, but in whispered prayers, in the quiet rustling of the wind through the trees, and in the stillness where she could listen for the voice of God. While others sought merriment, she sought the divine. Her brother Benedict shared the same fire. He left home to pursue a radical calling, withdrawing into solitude to seek a deeper union with God. His holiness and wisdom soon attracted followers, leading him to establish monasteries that would forever shape the Christian world. Scholastica, inspired by his mission, longed to dedicate her life entirely to God as well. But there was a challenge. Women were not allowed to join men's monastic communities. Yet Scholastica was not one to be deterred. With unwavering determination, she forged her own path. Near Monte Cassino, where Benedict had founded his great monastery, she gathered a group of devout women who shared her vision. Together, they formed the first female Benedictine monastery, living by the same sacred rule her brother had established: ora et labora, pray and work. Within those hallowed walls, their days were filled with prayer, study, and acts of service, their lives a living hymn to the Almighty. Despite their physical separation, the bond between the twins remained unshaken. Once a year, they met in a small house between their monasteries, their reunion sacred and filled with joy. They would spend the entire day in deep conversation, their words not of trivial matters, but of the mysteries of God, of the beauty of creation, of the endless depths of faith. Their meetings were not mere moments of familial affection. They were spiritual encounters, where heaven itself seemed to draw near. But one such meeting would be their last. Scholastica, now sensing that her time on earth was drawing to an end, gazed upon her beloved brother with a deep and knowing sorrow. As night fell and Benedict prepared to leave, she made a simple request: "Stay with me a little longer." Benedict hesitated. His monastic rule was clear. He had to return before nightfall. Though his heart ached at the thought of parting, his commitment to discipline and obedience was firm. Gently but resolutely, he refused. Scholastica, however, knew a power greater than any rule. She turned her eyes heavenward, her heart burning with a faith that had moved mountains. With silent tears, she clasped her hands and prayed. And then heaven responded. Out of the still night, a storm erupted with terrifying force. The sky, moments before serene, now raged with flashing lightning and deafening thunder. A torrential downpour crashed against the earth, the wind howling like a celestial decree. Benedict stared in astonishment. This was no ordinary storm. This was divine intervention. Defeated not by man, but by God's will, Benedict could do nothing. "What have you done, my sister?" he asked in awe. With a gentle, knowing smile, Scholastica simply replied, "I asked you, and you would not listen. So I asked God, and he did." That night, they remained together, speaking of divine mysteries, until the first light of dawn. It was a night unlike any other, one where time itself seemed to stand still, where brother and sister, bound by love and faith, shared one final sacred moment. 3 days later, as Benedict sat in silent prayer within his monastery, a vision unfolded before his eyes. He saw a radiant white dove rising toward the heavens, its wings gleaming with ethereal light, soaring higher and higher until it disappeared into glory. His heart clenched with understanding. Scholastica was gone. The sister who had once walked beside him, who had prayed with him, who had shaped his faith as he had shaped hers, had left this world. But she had not left alone. Her soul had been carried into eternity, embraced by the very God she had loved so fiercely. With deep reverence and sorrow, Benedict took charge of her burial, laying her body in the tomb he had prepared for himself. In life, they had been united by faith. In death, they would rest side by side, awaiting the final resurrection together. But for those who knew their story, for those who felt the tremors of their extraordinary bond, it was clear Scholastica had not died. She had merely gone ahead. Centuries have passed, but the legacy of Saint Scholastica continues to burn brightly, a beacon of faith and devotion that has inspired generations. The monastery she founded became more than just a place of prayer. It became a spiritual stronghold, shaping the hearts of countless women who longed to dedicate their lives entirely to God. Through the ages, her example of unwavering faith and trust in divine providence has echoed within the walls of Benedictine convents, inspiring a sisterhood of prayer, contemplation, and service. The Benedictine tradition, built on the foundation of humility, discipline, and love for God, has carried forward her memory, recognizing in her a model of holiness. Scholastica's life was simple yet profound, a woman who surrendered everything to the Lord, allowing His grace to work through her. Her love for God and neighbor transformed the lives of those around her, a living testament to the power of prayer and the boundless mercy of the divine. Recognized for her sanctity, Saint Scholastica was canonized by the Catholic Church, and her feast day, February 10th, marks not her earthly departure, but her glorious entry into heaven. On this day, the faithful around the world honor her legacy, recalling her deep love for God, her relentless spirit of prayer, and her unshakable trust in the Almighty. Throughout the centuries, miraculous accounts have surfaced, stories of protection against violent storms and natural disasters, of prayers answered in times of distress, of divine intervention mirroring that fateful night when she called upon heaven to keep her brother by her side. Just as the storm obeyed her plea then, so too does the power of her intercession continue to move hearts and alter the course of nature itself. Her iconography speaks volumes. She is often depicted holding a dove, the very symbol of the vision Saint Benedict saw on the night of her passing, a reminder of her soul's ascent into eternal glory. In other images, she clutches a copy of the Benedictine Rule, a testament to her fidelity to monastic life and her unwavering commitment to the spiritual discipline she embraced. These sacred symbols tell her story without words, a story of a woman whose life was wholly immersed in God's presence. Pope St. Gregory the Great chronicled her life in his writings. He saw in her a soul wholly dedicated to God, a woman whose holiness radiated through her intimate communion with the divine. Though she never sought recognition, her legacy could not be silenced. Her name, her faith, and her unyielding trust in prayer would echo through history. As devotion to Saint Scholastica spread, monasteries, churches, and chapels were erected in her honor, transforming into places of pilgrimage for those seeking her intercession. Her presence remains a source of hope and inspiration. She proved that prayer, fervent, unwavering prayer, can move heaven itself, even altering the forces of nature. Her story stands as a testament to a truth that endures. Those who trust fully in the Lord will never be forsaken. Scholastica's final night with her twin, Saint Benedict, revealed the power of faith and divine love. When Benedict insisted on leaving due to his monastic rule, Scholastica turned to prayer, and a sudden storm prevented his departure. God had answered her plea. This was not an act of defiance, but a testament to a deeper truth, that love, mercy, and God's will surpass all rules. Her unwavering trust in Him was the reason her prayer was heard. Pope St. Gregory the Great immortalized this moment, emphasizing that even the strictest human laws must yield to the supremacy of divine love. Scholastica's final lesson to her brother was not one of disobedience, but of faith, communion, and the boundless power of prayer. Scholastica proved that monastic life is not about isolation, but about preserving the Christian tradition, passing on the light of faith in times of uncertainty. She lived during a tumultuous era when the Roman world was crumbling and new cultures were emerging. Yet, within the walls of her monastery, the flame of Christian spirituality burned brightly, ensuring that the faith would endure for centuries to come. In a world consumed by individualism, hurry, and distraction, Saint Scholastica calls us to pause, to embrace prayer and communion, to cherish moments of true connection with God and with those we love. Her story invites us to seek holiness, not in grand gestures, but in daily acts of faith, humility, and unwavering trust in God's providence.